Hi there, it's Ron Gula from Gula Tech Adventures, and today we are going to talk about how to conference. Now, I've been going to cybersecurity conferences since I was at the NSA, since I ran Tenable, and now as Gula Tech Adventures, we intend to support a wide variety of our portfolio companies while we're there. The vast majority of what I'm going to talk about is relevant to the cybersecurity conferences. I'm talking about the biggest ones that are out there. We got the RSA conference, which typically happens in the first half of the year at San Francisco. And of course, we have Blackhat and DEF CON that happens in Las Vegas later on, typically in August of every year. Now, there's a lot of other great conferences that are not nearly as big as RSA and Blackhat and DEF CON. We've got B-Sides, we've got Gartner, InfoSec. We've got many types of conferences out there. What I'm going to talk about today is really relevant to how you get the most out of attending these conferences and how to not be overwhelmed. The best way of not being overwhelmed is understanding why people go to these cybersecurity conferences and why you should go to these cybersecurity conferences and how to get out. Now, there's two main people who go to these conferences. The first group are the vendors. The vendors go so they can meet potential customers. It's plain and simple as that. Here I am with the Gravwell booth from, this is 2022. I believe this is 2022 Blackhat. The founder, Corey, their CEO, Gravwell, they have a booth. They demonstrate their product. They talk to passersby. They talk to potential customers. I'm in a lot of organizations, a lot of companies who exhibit at cybersecurity conferences, and they treat this like a business. There's a cost to going. They have to sponsor, they have to fly out there, they have to build the booth, they have to spend time there. And then as a board member, as an investor, we ask, how many people did you meet? What did they say? Did you get any proof of concepts? They are trying to go to exhibit their products and meet customers. That's simple. Here's an example. I'm with Joe from Polarity here. They're actually demonstrating the product. Polarity is this visual augmented reality overlay of the desktop, and they actually show people that they walk by exactly how it works. It's a really good example of just demonstrating the product that you sometimes hard to do on a website and whatnot. So being in person is really important. Now, vendors also will do private meetings. When we were at Blackhat, we saw Tenable had some suites. They had an event. They will do private events, private meetings. The last couple of years I was running Tenable, when I would go to Blackhat or RSA, I'd have most of my day is not at the conference floor. It's meeting with existing and potential customers in meetings just off the script, so to speak. And a lot of organizations do this. If you're looking as a vendor, if you're big enough that you have existing customers, you need to have these meetings privately. Now, another thing that vendors will do is they will sponsor parties. They will sponsor events. They will sponsor speaking events. This is from probably 4 or 5 years ago. Cindy and I attended an event with that was Scythe, Inky, Gravel. They all sponsored this in downtown San Francisco. Now, make no mistake, these are fun. Sometimes people just have parties to have parties, but for the most part, they're having parties so they can meet people like you. And if you're signing up, getting a wristband, you're probably getting your email, probably describing how it works. You're the product in this case. And some vendors will have parties like this. We sponsor a fairly large cigar party. Sometimes you will run into founders and CEOs who have parties just for the sake of having a speaker or an event that people enjoy and doing. And one of the things we like to do at Gula Tech Adventures is share cigars with folks in the cybersecurity industry. All right, one of the other main group of people that go to cybersecurity conferences are practitioners. If you're a CISO, if you're a red team, you're a pen tester, you're a consultant, you go to conferences. Now, why do you go? A lot of times people go to conferences for training. Ahead of Blackhat, ahead of SANS, ahead of RSA, there are a tremendous amount of opportunities to do in-person hands-on training. And, in-person and hands-on is a lot different than taking things online. You're possibly taking it with your team, which is a good chance for team building. But you're also going to be learning from some of the best people. SANS, RSA, Blackhat, they tend to only really have the best folks in training do these training programs. Now, another thing you're going to go for is to hear the keynotes. Those speakers at these places are just the top-notch people in our industry. It's very important for you to, as a cybersecurity practitioner, to understand what the trends are, what these people are saying. This is where Kevin Mandia dropped APT1, for example. And it's definitely worth seeing. And seeing it in person is a lot like live music, right? Seeing somebody speak in person, it's a little bit different than reading about it later or watching it stream, over YouTube or something like that. But being in the room, seeing how people react gives you a better sense for how the industry is working. Now, of course, I already talked about vendors, but it's really hard to be in this business as a practitioner and not interact with vendors. You might actually have the need to meet with a customer because you have a list of requests, complaints, opportunities, for your vendors. Maybe you're looking to replace a vendor. Walking the floor, understanding which vendors are out there can give you a really good sense of what is going on in the market and the trends that we're seeing. Now, these floors at RSA and not as much as Blackhat, but they are huge. You need to spend a lot of time walking around and trying to really understand, what these companies are doing and what the trends are that are out there. Now, the last thing practitioners do, if there have been a layoff, if there has been an opportunity to move on, a lot of practitioners go and they will be interviewing with either other organizations that might be hiring them, or a lot of times increasingly we've seen people who work at an organization for a living. They might go to a vendor and help them evangelize, be a sales engineer, be CTO, help co-found that type of stuff. Now, who else is there? Clearly, vendors and practitioners make up the vast majority of who attends these conferences, but you've got your support vendors. You'll have marketing organizations, legal organizations. You'll have manufacturing organizations who want to sell their wares to the cybersecurity vendors. You'll also have the media and the journalists. You'll also have government and nonprofit people who are looking to partner with you, perhaps form coalitions, perhaps do standards. And lastly, you'll have folks like myself, the venture capital folks who are trying to either meet with new companies or support the companies that are there. Now, regardless of where you fall in, all of these tips are important. You should have a list of goals. You should not just be going because you have the fear of missing out. That's the biggest mistake I kind of tell people. Have a reason to go. Are you doing a meeting? Are you learning about a certain topic? Are you attending to see a certain speaker? You need to have a reason to go. You also don't want to book yourself 90 days ahead with no room to meet. You're going to have opportunities to meet with new vendors. You got to leave yourself some space. Anytime you're traveling, especially in 2023 when I'm recording this video, you got to get your hotel early. You got to get your travel early. If you like to party, don't over party. If you're going out, remember your goals. Your goal might be to meet somebody at a party. I have met plenty of companies that have wanted us to invest in them while we were at, various events that occur sort of outside of business hours. Always be wary of your surroundings, right? If you're talking cybersecurity, you're probably talking about threats, vulnerabilities, you're probably talking about compromises. And if you're doing venture and raising, you might be talking to a potential investor and your competitor could be within earshot. And of course, as we're doing all of this stuff, you have to remember that the offensive opportunity for the Russians and the Chinese to overhear your strategy are not light. So you have to be mindful of your surroundings. As you're walking from event to event, these are really, really big places. You need to allot time for yourself to get from point A to point B while you're running into friends from college and the service and your previous company and whatnot. And then at the last time, think of everything I just said here. When you are going to an event, when you're talking to a vendor, when you're talking to a potential investor, are you the product or are you the customer at this point? And it's really hard when you go to these conferences to understand when you are in and out of those rules. Are you doing somebody a favor? Are they doing you a favor? Are you the customer or are you the product? Are you being sold to or are you selling? It changes on a moment's notice at these big conferences. All right, so keep all that in mind of the why you should be going to these security conferences, and you're going to get a lot more out of it. All right, good luck going to your security conferences. I'm Ron Gula. If you want to learn more of these videos, learn more about the cybersecurity industry, subscribe to us at YouTube, come visit us on LinkedIn, or check us out at gula.tech. Thanks for watching the show. Have a great day.